Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins All World. If you've ever wondered if those quarters lying around in your collection or in your spare change could actually be worth something more than their face value, then this video is for you. Today, we're focusing on a very special coin, the 1979 Washington quarter dollar. This coin may look like your typical quarter at first glance, but it's hiding a secret that could make you a small fortune. Stick around until the end to find out just how much this seemingly regular quarter could be worth. Now, you might be wondering, what makes the 1979 Washington quarter so special? After all, there are tons of these quarters in circulation, and most of us have probably handled one at some point. But here's the thing, while the 1979 Washington quarter is often seen as just another coin, it's actually a lot more valuable than you might expect. If you know what to look for. Let's take a step back and set the scene for the 1979 quarter. The 1979 Washington quarter was part of the regular series of coins minted by the U.S. Mint, and it carries the iconic design that we all recognize. On the obverse, or front, side of the coin, we have George Washington's profile, which has been a symbol of American currency since 1932. Surrounding his portrait, you'll see the words, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the year, 1979. These inscriptions have become a timeless part of the Washington quarter's design. Flip the coin over, and on the reverse, or back, side, you'll find the image of a majestic eagle perched on an olive branch and a bundle of arrows. The eagle, as we know, is a symbol of strength and resilience, and this design has been part of the quarter since it was first introduced. Along the bottom, you'll find the words, "United States of America," and "quarter dollar." But despite its widespread use and common design, there's something about the 1979 Washington quarter that could make it much more valuable than its 25-cent face value. And it all comes down to rarity and condition. You see, in 1979, the U.S. Mint produced millions of these quarters to meet the demand for coins. Like most coins, they were used in everyday transactions, so most 1979 quarters you'll find today are heavily worn and have been in circulation for years. But that's where the opportunity lies for collectors. A quarter that has been carefully preserved and is in uncirculated condition is much rarer and much more valuable. If you find a 1979 Washington quarter that looks as though it just came out of the minting process, bright, shiny, and with no signs of wear, you could have a valuable coin on your hands. But the real treasure in the 1979 Washington quarter lies in the potential for minting errors. Minting errors happen when something goes wrong during the coin's production. These errors are often subtle but can make a huge difference in a coin's value. For example, one of the most sought-after errors for collectors is the double die error, which happens when the coin is struck more than once with the same die. This causes the design to appear doubled or blurry in some parts of the coin. For the 1979 Washington quarter, this could result in doubled letters in "Liberty" or a doubled date. If you come across a 1979 quarter with these errors, you might be looking at a coin worth significantly more than its face value. Another valuable variation of the 1979 Washington quarter is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin is misaligned during the minting process, causing the design to be partially or completely off-center. If you find a 1979 quarter with a noticeable off-center strike, you could be holding onto something very special, as error coins like these can be highly prized by collectors. You also want to keep an eye out for any 1979 Washington quarters that may have been struck on the wrong planchet. A wrong planchet error occurs when a coin is struck on a piece of metal that wasn't intended for that particular denomination. For example, a 1979 quarter struck on a dime-sized planchet would be a rare and valuable find. So, what can all this information mean for the value of a 1979 Washington quarter? Here's where things get really exciting. If you happen to own a 1979 Washington quarter in pristine, uncirculated condition, or if you find one with a rare minting error like the double die or off-center strike, you could be looking at a coin worth a substantial amount of money. In fact, a 1979 Washington quarter that has the right combination of excellent condition and minting error has been known to sell for an astonishing $75,000. Yes, you heard that correctly, $75,000 for a single quarter. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. How do I know if my 1979 Washington quarter is worth that much? The first step is to check its condition. If it's still in excellent shape with little to no wear, you've got a good start. Then, take a closer look at the details on the coin. If you notice any doubling, blurry lettering, or signs of an off-center strike, you could have a valuable error coin on your hands. If you're unsure, it's always a good idea to have your coin professionally graded by a reputable coin grading service to determine its value. The bottom line is that even though the 1979 Washington quarter might look like just another coin to most people, it has the potential to be a hidden treasure for those who know what to look for. Whether you find one in perfect condition or with a rare minting error, this coin could easily be worth thousands, if not tens of thousands, of dollars. Today, we're talking about a coin that you might have overlooked or casually tossed aside, the 1994 Washington quarter. At first glance, this quarter may seem like just another coin you've seen a million times, but believe it or not, this little piece of history could be worth a lot more than its face value. In fact, we're about to reveal just how much the 1994 Washington quarter could be worth today, and you might be shocked by the amount. Let's rewind for a moment. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932, and it has become one of the most iconic and recognizable coins in the United States. The 1994 quarter is part of the regular series, with the familiar design of George Washington's portrait on the obverse side, facing left, and the eagle on the reverse side. It's a coin that has been produced in the billions over the years, but there's something special about this particular year, the 1994 Washington quarter. Now, you're probably thinking, what makes the 1994 quarter any different from all the other quarters I've seen? The truth is, while many of these coins were produced, the value of any particular coin comes down to a few key factors: condition, rarity, and sometimes, minting errors. You see, coins from certain years can become highly sought after by collectors, not just because they're from a specific time period, but because they stand out in some way, whether due to their condition, their rarity, or something as simple as a minting error that makes them unique. Let's talk about the basic design of the 1994 Washington quarter. On the obverse, you have the famous portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. Surrounding the portrait are the words, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the year, 1994. On the reverse, you have the majestic American eagle with its wings spread wide, perched on an olive branch and arrows, and the inscription, United States of America, along with, $quarter. The design is clean, elegant, and undeniably American. But despite how widely this quarter was circulated, it's actually rarer than you might think when you start considering coins in exceptional condition. If you're lucky enough to come across a 1994 Washington quarter in uncirculated condition, you're already ahead of the game. An uncirculated coin has been kept in pristine condition, free from wear, scratches, or discoloration. These are the kinds of coins collectors covet because they've never been used in transactions and are often free from any damage. The value of an uncirculated 1994 quarter could be significantly higher than a quarter that's been through years of circulation, but the value doesn't stop there. Minting errors are what really set certain coins apart. While minting errors are rare, they can be the key to unlocking a coin's true worth. And when it comes to the 1994 Washington quarter, there are a few errors that can make a big difference in value. One of the most valuable types of errors is the double die error, which happens when the coin is struck more than once with the same die, causing the design to appear doubled or blurry. If you've ever noticed a 1994 quarter where the year, 1994, or the word, liberty, looks doubled or distorted, you may have just stumbled upon a rare and valuable double die error coin. These coins are highly sought after by collectors, and they can fetch impressive prices at auction. Another type of error to keep an eye out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin isn't properly aligned during the minting process, causing part of the design to be cut off or shifted. If you find a 1994 Washington quarter with part of the eagle missing or the design slightly off-center, then you could be in possession of an error coin that's worth far more than face value. Coins that have been struck on the wrong planchet, such as a quarter struck on a dime-sized planchet, are also incredibly valuable. If you're lucky enough to come across a 1994 quarter that's been struck on the wrong metal planchet, it could increase the coin's value exponentially. Now that we've covered the condition and minting errors, let's talk about the market value. As we've mentioned, the value of any coin is highly dependent on its rarity and condition. So, just how much can a 1994 Washington quarter be worth? While most quarters from this year are worth only face value, certain rarities, such as those in uncirculated condition or with minting errors, have been known to sell for thousands of dollars. In fact, if you come across a pristine 1994 Washington quarter or one with a rare minting error, you could be looking at a coin that could fetch as much as $68,000. Yes, $68,000 for a single quarter. Imagine finding one of these hidden gems in your collection or even in your pocket change. It just goes to show that coin collecting is more than just a hobby. Sometimes, it can be a profitable investment. So, how can you tell if you have one of these valuable 1994 Washington quarters? Start by checking the condition of the coin. If it's well preserved, with no visible signs of wear, you could already have something valuable. Then, take a closer look for any minting errors, like doubling in the design or off-center strikes. If you notice anything unusual, it's worth getting the coin professionally graded to determine its value. And remember, whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, finding a coin like the 1994 Washington quarter with exceptional condition or a minting error can be incredibly rewarding. So next time you come across one of these quarters, take a moment to inspect it carefully. You just might have a hidden treasure on your hands. Today, we're diving deep into a coin that you might have passed over without a second thought, the 1986 Washington quarter. This seemingly ordinary quarter could be hiding a secret that's worth tens of thousands of dollars, and in this video, we're going to uncover what makes it so special and how you can determine if you're sitting on a hidden treasure. First, let's set the stage for the 1986 Washington quarter. For most of us, quarters are just coins we use to buy coffee, grab a snack, or maybe even save in a jar. But the Washington quarter has a long history of being much more than just currency. This coin, which was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday, has been a staple in American coinage for decades. The 1986 Washington quarter, like many others from the 1980s, was part of the regular circulation, so you might think it's just another run-of-the-mill quarter. But as any seasoned collector will tell you, the value of a coin isn't always about the year it was minted, it's about its rarity, its condition, and sometimes, its minting errors. Now, let's talk about the design of the 1986 Washington quarter. On the obverse side, we have George Washington's familiar profile, designed by John Flanagan. This iconic image has graced the coin since 1932 and represents the father of the nation. Surrounding Washington's bust, you'll find the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God We Trust," and 1986, marking the year the coin was minted. The reverse side features the eagle, which has been a symbol of strength and freedom in the United States since the country's founding. The eagle is perched on an olive branch and a bundle of arrows, with the words "United States of America" and $quarter completing the design. So, why is the 1986 Washington quarter so special? For the most part, these coins were produced in large quantities and circulated widely. In fact, you'll likely find plenty of 1,986 quarters in circulation today, and most of them are in fairly worn condition. The real magic happens when you come across a pristine, uncirculated 1986 quarter. This is where the coin's true potential value lies. An uncirculated quarter means the coin has never been used in regular transactions and has been carefully preserved in excellent condition. These coins are much rarer and far more desirable to collectors, which significantly boosts their value. But here's where things get even more interesting: minting errors. This is where the potential for big money comes in. Minting errors can happen when something goes wrong during the production process, leading to a coin that's unique and different from the rest. For collectors, these error coins are like gold because they're one-of-a-kind and incredibly rare. So what kinds of errors should you look for on a 1986 Washington quarter? One of the most valuable errors to look out for is the double die error. This occurs when the coin is struck more than once with the same die, causing parts of the design to appear doubled or blurred. If you notice that the date, the word "Liberty," or the eagle on the reverse looks doubled or out of alignment, you could be looking at a rare double die error coin. These coins are highly sought after by collectors and can easily command a much higher price than a regular, uncirculated quarter. Another error to keep an eye out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not perfectly aligned with the die, causing the design to be shifted or partially cut off. If you find a 1986 quarter where the eagle is missing part of its wings or the date is only partially visible, you might have a rare off-center error that could significantly increase the coin's value. And let's not forget about wrong planchet errors. These happen when a coin is struck on the wrong type of metal planchet. Imagine finding a 1986 quarter that's actually made from a copper-nickel blank intended for a different denomination, like a dime. That would be an incredibly rare and valuable find. So now that you know what to look for, just how much could a 1986 Washington quarter be worth? You might be surprised to learn that these quarters, especially those in uncirculated condition or with minting errors, can fetch a pretty penny at auction. While most 1986 quarters you'll come across are worth their face value of 25 cents, a well-preserved and error-free 1986 Washington quarter can be worth a few dollars more. But if you're lucky enough to find a minting error or an uncirculated specimen with exceptional quality, the value can skyrocket. As a matter of fact, a pristine 1986 Washington quarter, particularly one with an error, has been known to sell for as much as $73,000. Yes, that's right, $73,000 for a single quarter. Can you imagine finding one of these hidden gems in your pocket change or in an old coin jar? It's enough to make any collector's heart race. So, how can you tell if your 1986 quarter is worth a fortune? Start by inspecting its condition. If it's shiny, with no signs of wear or discoloration, it could be worth much more than its face value. Next, check the details carefully. Look for any signs of a double die error, an off-center strike, or a wrong planchet error. These are the types of minting mistakes that can elevate the value of a coin from a few dollars to tens of thousands of dollars. If you're not sure, consider having your coin professionally graded. Coin grading services evaluate the condition and authenticity of coins, and they can give you a clear idea of what your 1986 Washington quarter might be worth. So, next time you're sifting through your change or looking through your collection, don't overlook the 1986 Washington quarter. It might just be the coin that turns your hobby into a major payday. You never know, you might just find a $73,000 treasure hiding in plain sight. Today. Have you ever thought that your everyday coins could be worth a fortune? Well, the Washington quarter from 1978 might just be one of those coins that can take you by surprise. While it may seem like just another quarter at first glance, it's actually a hidden gem in the world of numismatics. Today, we're going to dive deep into why this specific coin is more valuable than you might think and what makes it stand out from the thousands of other quarters out there. Let's start with some basic history. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It's one of the most iconic coins in the United States, and its design has remained mostly unchanged for decades. On the obverse side, you'll find the familiar portrait of George Washington himself, sculpted by John Flanagan. The reverse features a powerful symbol of America, the bald eagle. Now, when we talk about the 1978 Washington quarter, this coin is part of the regular issue from the U.S. Mint, which means that millions of these coins were produced. It was part of the standard circulation, so you'll often find this coin in change or in coin jars around the country. But just because a coin is common doesn't mean it doesn't have value, especially when it's preserved in excellent condition or contains certain unique features. So, what makes the 1978 Washington quarter so special? Well, for starters, it's all about condition. Most quarters from the 1970s that are still in circulation today are in less than perfect condition, having gone through years of wear and tear. But if you happen to come across one of these coins in mint condition, meaning it has been well preserved and shows little to no signs of use, you could be holding a coin that's far more valuable than its face value. But the 1978 Washington quarter isn't just valuable because of its condition. In fact, one of the most exciting things about this coin is its potential to have minting errors. Minting errors are what make certain coins incredibly valuable and rare, and the 1978 Washington quarter is no exception. Coins with errors, whether due to misalignment, double strikes, or other issues, can make a huge difference in a coin's worth. And when it comes to the 1978 quarter, certain errors can turn a coin worth just 25 cents into something worth thousands of dollars. One of the most common errors to look for is the double die error. This occurs when a coin is struck twice by the same die, causing part of the design to appear doubled. If you closely inspect your 1978 Washington quarter and notice that parts of the lettering or even Washington's image are doubled or blurry, you could have a double die error coin. These types of coins are very desirable among collectors because they are unique and hard to find, which significantly increases their value. Another error to watch out for is the off-center strike. This happens when a coin isn't properly aligned with the die, causing part of the design to be cut off or shifted. For example, you might find that part of the eagle is missing or that the date is barely visible. Off-center error coins are incredibly rare and can easily fetch a much higher price at auction compared to regular quarters. Don't forget about the wrong planchet error either. This occurs when the coin is struck on the wrong type of metal planchet, such as a penny-sized planchet. Imagine finding a 1978 Washington quarter that's made from the wrong material, like a copper penny blank. That would be a truly rare find and could make your coin significantly more valuable. Now, you might be wondering just how much a 1978 Washington quarter could be worth. While most of these coins are worth only their face value, just 25 cents, certain examples, particularly those in excellent condition or with minting errors, can be worth significantly more. In fact, a pristine, uncirculated 1978 Washington quarter or a coin with an incredible minting error could be worth as much as $70,000. That's right. A single quarter from 1978 could be worth $70,000, a far cry from its humble 25-cent face value. So, how can you tell if your 1978 Washington quarter is worth big money? First, check its condition. A coin in uncirculated or mint condition, with no visible wear or damage, will always be worth more than a coin that's been through years of circulation. Next, look for any signs of a minting error. Carefully inspect the design, especially the date, the eagle, and the word Liberty for any doubling or misalignment. If you spot any abnormalities, you might be holding a rare and valuable error coin. It's also a great idea to get your coin professionally graded. If you believe you found an exceptional 1978 Washington quarter, especially one with a minting error, taking it to a professional grading service like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, can help determine its true value. They'll assess the coin's condition, authenticity, and rarity, and assign it a grade that will help you gauge its worth on the market. Coin collecting is about more than just accumulating pieces of history, it's about finding those rare treasures that could change your life. And the 1978 Washington quarter is one of those hidden gems that might be waiting for you in your change jar, coin collection, or even in your pocket change. With a bit of luck and a keen eye, you could stumble upon a coin worth $70,000. How amazing would that be? So, next time you're sorting through your collection or checking your spare change, don't overlook that 1978 Washington quarter. It might be worth a whole lot more than you think. Today's video might just blow your mind. We're taking a closer look at a coin you might have overlooked before, the 1983 Washington quarter. You might think it's just another quarter, but trust me, this coin holds secrets that could make it worth a small fortune. Stick around, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for in order to spot a coin that could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Let's start by talking a bit about the history of the 1983 Washington quarter. The Washington quarter is one of the most iconic and long-standing coins in U.S. history, first introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. This coin has been in circulation for decades, with multiple variations and designs over the years. The 1983 Washington quarter is part of the regular series issued during the 1980s. While millions of these quarters were minted, not all of them are created equal. Now, you might be asking, what makes the 1983 Washington quarter so special? At first glance, this quarter might seem just like any other. The design on the obverse shows George Washington's familiar portrait, sculpted by John Flanagan. Surrounding Washington's image, you'll see the words, "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," along with the year 1983. On the reverse, there's the majestic bald eagle, perched proudly with an olive branch and arrows. It's a classic and timeless design that's meant to symbolize freedom and strength, but here's the thing, just because this coin is part of the regular production doesn't mean it can't be worth big money. The key to unlocking the true value of the 1983 Washington quarter lies in its condition and rarity. Like most circulating coins, many 1983 quarters have been heavily worn and circulated over time. This is normal for coins that have spent years in wallets, vending machines, or cash registers. However, there's a significant difference between a coin that's been used and one that's in pristine condition, and this difference is where the value starts to increase. The 1983 Washington quarter is especially valuable if it has been well preserved in uncirculated condition. Coins that have never been in circulation are far rarer, and collectors are willing to pay a premium for these coins. If you happen to find a mint condition 1983 quarter, it could already be worth much more than its face value of just 25 cents. But wait, it gets even more exciting. The value of the 1983 Washington quarter doesn't stop at uncirculated examples. There's a hidden treasure in the world of coin collecting: minting errors. These are rare occurrences where something goes wrong during the production of a coin, leading to an imperfect or unique specimen. Coins with minting errors are extremely valuable to collectors because they're one of a kind, and the 1983 Washington quarter is no exception. One of the most desirable errors to watch out for is the double die error. This occurs when a coin is struck more than once by the same die, resulting in doubled features in the design. If you examine your 1983 Washington quarter closely and notice that parts of the lettering or even Washington's image are doubled or blurry, you could be looking at a valuable double die error coin. These error coins are incredibly rare, and their uniqueness makes them highly sought after by collectors. Another error that could make a 1983 Washington quarter worth a fortune is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned with the die during the minting process, resulting in part of the design being shifted or cut off. If you find a 1983 quarter with the design off-center, missing part of the eagle, or showing a significant misalignment, you could have a rare off-center strike that could dramatically increase the coin's value. And then there's the possibility of a wrong planchet error. This happens when a coin is struck on the wrong type of metal blank, which can create a unique and valuable coin. For example, a 1983 Washington quarter that's accidentally struck on a dime-sized planchet or a copper-nickel planchet meant for another denomination would be an incredibly rare find. But how much can the 1983 Washington quarter be worth? If you happen to come across one in uncirculated condition, it could already fetch a decent amount, especially if it's been well preserved. But when it comes to coins with minting errors or exceptional quality, the value can increase dramatically. In fact, some 1983 Washington quarters have been known to sell for as much as $70,500. Yes, that's $70,500 for a single quarter. This is not a typo, folks. A rare 1983 Washington quarter with minting errors or in perfect condition could be worth an unbelievable amount. So, how do you go about identifying these valuable coins? Start by inspecting your 1983 Washington quarters closely. Look at the condition. Is it shiny, well preserved, and free from scratches or signs of wear? If so, you're already on the right track. Next, look for any signs of minting errors. Examine the design carefully, especially the lettering, the date, and the image of Washington. Are there any signs of doubling, misalignment, or other anomalies? If you spot something unusual, you may be holding onto a coin that could be worth a small fortune. The next step is to get your coin professionally graded. Professional coin grading services, like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, can assess the coin's condition and confirm whether it's a rare specimen. They'll assign a grade to the coin, which will help determine its market value and provide you with a clear understanding of what it's worth. So, next time you're going through your spare change or looking through your coin collection, don't overlook the 1983 Washington quarter. Whether it's in uncirculated condition or has a unique minting error, this coin could be more valuable than you ever imagined. And who knows? You might just discover a $70,500 treasure hiding right under your nose. If you enjoyed this video and want to stay up to date on the world of rare coins, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on another exciting coin discovery. Thanks for watching, and happy hunting! You never know what treasures might be waiting for you in your next coin search.